John, let's turn to success personally.
Mm.
What resources, John, do you rely on to make yourself a better leader?
Well, first is associate myself with the leaders, like you. And it's kind of interesting that when I was young, I like to hang out with people of similar age. Nowadays, I almost make a point to make friends with people that are 5, 10 years older than me, a little bit ahead in my career, because I want to learn their life experiences, how they think about things, right? Um, Second is learning from my team because one of the saying that made a deep impression on me is a novice person sees many opportunities, the expert sees only one. So a lot of times people who are in the early careers and spending time with them, listen to them, and almost refresh my memory on why I got into this career in the first place and the possibilities that I saw when I was in my late 20s. It's very important. I think the third things we like to do here is reading. I thank you for the books that you shipped to me. I enjoyed reading them about supply management. They're very impactful, very well structured. But I enjoy reading in general. Just I think it's getting the thoughts organized and be able to, have a richness of mental models to deal with difficult situations. In many cases, one thing that I have learned is the difficult things are not either or; it's both, and the ability to argue from both sides and bring richness of ideas into the conversation, but still be able to drive a decision is critical. And I do think being surrounded with the right colleagues and leaders, having the right mentors, reading the right books, make a huge difference.
Now, I appreciate that, John. John, the final question. Often this video series is watched by young leaders. They're aspiring to careers like yours, John. What advice would you have for a young leader that wants to progress, and grow and think about the next 10, 20 years?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say something provocative because I'm actually in a program mentoring a few young, early career colleagues, and often the question comes up, how do I climb this corporate ladder, right? How do I become you one day? And my general answer is this is one of the best advice I got in my career is don't confuse employment with employability. So a good place does not necessarily guarantee employment, but a good place should guarantee employability. So always think about your market value. So don't seek the comfort, but seek where you would increase your market value. Working on very challenging, difficult projects by getting new experience, making new connections with people who are willing to do the right and hard and difficult things. That's number one. Number two is always being focused on adding value, stepping back and to say, what is the real question? I can tell you it's really interesting that I notice a pattern is a lot of times you're working on a project in the story, the PowerPoint keeps on growing, the Excel spreadsheets keep on growing. And usually that's a time, a signal to say, let's pause and ask this question. What is the question we're trying to answer? And why does business care about it? What difference does it make? I think these fundamental questions often leads to insight on where the value is generated. So one of the patterns that I actually borrowed from my leader is we ask the question from time to time, what, now what, so what? What are we really doing? Now, now what? So what does that really mean, right? And so what? So what's the value it generates? So if I simplify it, is focus on the employability, the market value, and focus on where you add value. If you do this consistently, you'll be amazed
Yeah.
how the phone call will come without you even apply for the job.
Yeah, John, one of the things I've always believed in, and I know every time I meet with you, it gets reinforced, is this whole intellectual curiosity.
Mm,
And there's always be learning. I mean, you, in fact, just recently finished your courses at Harvard,
mhm,
right? So, I mean, this is not just, so I just want to reinforce to the audience that John is not just a leader that's sharing this wisdom with you, but he actually practices it personally himself.
mm.
John, it's been a total pleasure having you on this episode. Thank you so much for sharing your views, your wisdom, and I know the audience will really appreciate it. Thank you again, John.
Always a pleasure with you, Atul. Thank you.